Hi, BetGo with Grinder School. We're going to look at a hand history by a winning player in the 2 180s, and this player he has some leaks. I think he's a little too push bot oriented. In my opinion, I mean, I guess some people feel, just push bot, but it is sort of an example. I think this is, playable hand. I guess, we're only opening ace king and nines is eights or ace plus or something from this position, but this is sort of mid position. It's just not even, under the gun. I mean, I guess some people fold ace queen under the gun early levels. This is level 3, so I think this is way too tight. I think I would c-bet this flop. This isn't necessarily that badly played, but even though they're 3 players, and it's a little wet with the 2 high cards, but it's king high, so you're probably not going to get a better hand to fold, but sort of protect your hand, protect from being bluffed. All these people don't seem very good at bluffing. And these little min bets, I think you might as well call down and just hope you can show down a hand at this point. It's hard for you to represent very much since you're the pre-flop raiser. You don't want somebody to make a move on you or something. Of course, they're obviously not doing that. And the thing to notice also is when this pot, you see the weak action and everything, and it might be possible to take this pot away if you didn't have something, if you're one of these other players. And you can maybe bet the turn and then bet again on the river, because people can be pretty face up at this point. It seems like you can't bluff, but maybe partly for that reason. People are pretty face up and nobody's sort of making a move there. So, shove's okay there. It's I'd probably raise call, but I don't think this is a shove. I mean, we're shoving 18 big blinds, and we're covered by these 2 players, and this hand's just pretty weak. I mean, this is, it's not usually like a playable hand in a normal situation, aside from push botting. So it's fine to push bot if you were, shorter stacked in late position. This is a little too big a push bot with this. And I think you could do a raise to side. The hand doesn't play very well post flop, and I don't think this guy's much into raise folding anything. But I think folding is probably better actually. But if I had a hand that was a little more playable, if I had like 10-9 suited or something like that, I might raise to side 10-8 suited, whatever. Because people will fight you quite a bit at this stage in the stakes. I really think this is a mistake. I mean, I don't think on the button 15 big blinds that it's going to look like it's a monster to these people. I mean, there may be some regs who are only raising with big huge hands when they have 15 big blinds, but I think just go ahead and raise that. You maybe start killing your action with this kind of thing. And I mean, I guess if you're playing a lot of tables and you just want to push bot, but I think you're losing a lot of value. This is again, this is king 7 again. This is not suited. I don't think this is strong enough to push here. Maybe if you had a pocket pair, a suited ace or something, it'd be okay to shove. But we're shoving this into these guys have us covered with 5 players. Again, it'd be a fine hand to shove from the button or something like that if you had like 5 big blinds, six big blinds. This is not a correct call. I'm getting 1.7 to 1. And he'd have to be pushing pretty wide. I mean, I might be pushing 60%. So he's pushing 60%. Then it's CEV plus, chip EV plus. I mean, you're not losing your whole stack if you lose. But, I mean, if we look at it, say, versus 40%. And in this situation, villain should be pushing pretty light. I mean, yeah, if it's like 40%, you're getting the right price, which you probably should be with six big blinds, but I don't think that many people are doing that. And if it's just like 30% CB minus, um, it's pretty thin. Risking a big chunk of your stack there. I know people got into making the really light calls in the 180s, but you can take it a little too far. I mean, some people might disagree with this. I would not make this call. We're getting 2.1 to 1, and this guy is pretty tight range here. Pushing an early position with the big blinds, sort of pot committed, and pushing that many big blinds. And so I think you're a little behind 2.1 to 1 against his range. And I'd hang on to the stack. We're I think in the money. You can move up in places. It's not a great thing to just hang in there and move up in places, but there's no point in taking a gamble where you're gonna be out of it 70% of the time. I mean, granted, you get a stack when he did win the hand and obviously dominated, but we got a stack and everything. Push bunny size stack, but I think you can play the three big blind stack. There are plays you can make. You can open push or call a raise if you have a decent hand, or getting decent pot odds, or just waiting to defend your blind, or there's no need to take that kind of a gamble. This is not a correct call. There's some little bit of dead money here, but I mean, I don't think you're ahead. You're just behind this guy's range. He should be isolating a little tighter than he would be open pushing, because there's he can only isolate, can't steal, and a lot of people don't realize that they really get into this isolating thing. But it's great to push people around and all this sort of thing. But I just don't see how we're in any decent shape versus this guy's range, because remember, Alvin's going to be pushing every hand that dominates you. King Jack, King Queen. Tens plus. He's going to have aces and pocket pairs, and the chances that he's going to ISO shove, with something, with suited connector you're a little bit ahead of, it's not that much of his range. And okay, say we put him on a 30% range, which is way too wide, and you're still behind. And plus you're gambling your stack, and we're in the money, so that I think there's some ICM issue. I mean, I guess if you get a big stack, you can push people around or something, but I think in general you want to just stay in the tournament. Here, I think that you could push pre-flop. I mean, you'd be a little worried this guy's got aces or whatever. I mean, it's a very bizarre play when he limps that way. But I would, I think the check raise is better here. You get a bet out of him, and also you can get away from it in some cases, if when you get action from both players, because you only have second pair. And you get away from it here, but you get away from it without putting the 3,000 in. Of course, it's possible he checks, which I mean, I guess there's some cards that would be between a 9 and an ace that you wouldn't want to see hit, but this is not a good call, because again, I mean, this hand's just not good versus his range. Because he's going to be shoving a lot of better aces and stuff, and you're just not good. He's pushing from the button. I can give him 30%, which I don't think. I think it's going to be tighter than that. You're still behind his range. There's some dead money in here, but there is an ICM factor, even though you're the shorter stack here. There's a little bit of an ICM factor, but I mean, the guy's not going to be shoving. He's shoving into the bigger stack there, and so I just don't think he's shoving that light from the button. And maybe some regulars would shove lighter. It's not really that great a situation to shove, but I think he's usually got a hand here. Yeah, which he does. And, well, you had the better hand, but... Um, actually, that call's not that bad, I guess. It's kind of a close situation, but... Okay, here, this is not really a mistake, but I'd prefer the overshove play, uh, because the nature of the hand. I mean, granted, you're in for a big amount against this Wild Marie. If you, um, but Wild Marie could have uh, Ace King, Ace Queen, stuff like that you're ahead of, and if you got action, and it's gonna be very hard for Marie to call you. So I'd prefer the shove because of the nature of the hand, because it doesn't play very well post flop. If you had 10-9 suited or something, then maybe fine to raise the side like this, but it doesn't play well post flop. Plus, it plays pretty well all in because, like I said, you wind up folding a lot and you're actually ahead a little bit, against the overcards. Plus, you're getting the pot odds. So I think shoving's a little better here. And I think you probably have to fold here. It's kind of close. I mean, we're calling, I assume, these guys and folding to the big stack and cutoff. But because you're risking a big chunk of your stack, also, I think at this point it's a correct fold. There's nothing really wrong with the play, but I think the overshove's a little better there. And we got real short. I'm not real fond of this play because you got this humongous stack in the big blind, and at this state, you might be able to get some people to fold to these, bet. Maybe they shouldn't, but they will fold because they've got nothing, and it's a chunk of their stack and all that, and so you got pushing the one guy who's got something, and your hand's not that great. I mean, I can see we're short, so we're looking to do something. And I also don't like this because the hand's just too weak. And, I don't mind defending the big blind. You have to put the big blind anyway, and chances are you're going to get a better hand the next time under the gun. So, I don't see a point in it. It's just a little marginal. It's not maybe that terrible, I guess. I mean, this is a 2-180, so I guess people may call this. I think we're in early position. There are a few limpers, a couple limpers I think I like to push, but I think you're better off just making 300 or something. People, I mean, you might not get all the money from the under the gun, but it's just people aren't gonna have the read that you're really strong when you do that. And also, I mean, I probably would just limp behind and hope somebody else raises. Depends on how active the table is, but you see the couple of limpers. People may they go free money or whatever. Hey, man, and I don't mind playing that post flop. So that's the way I would play. It's probably not terrible to just shove there, but just give you an idea of different ways of playing it, I guess. I don't care for the way he played it, but it's probably sort of okay. Yeah, this guy tends to make some loose early position shoves and loose calls. I don't know whether we can shove this. We're shoving under the gun. I mean, if all the players had full stacks, it would be worse. But you got those big stacks in the big blind, which isn't very good. The blinds, which isn't very good. And the short stacks can call you a lot because they're so short, even though they're not going to cut into you very much. But this is kind of hand you could shove from late position. But I'm not fond of shoving it into 6 players. We're talking for some players, you're talking 14 big blinds. Yeah, people think, oh, push bot light, call light, that's the way all the cool players play or something. But I think there's some mistakes here. I'd be aware of that. But this is a pretty bad push. Um, I mean, if this was like King 10 suited, it'd be a shove, but we were shoving under the gun here. And this is like the final table or something. Plus the small blind is pot committed. Should be calling any two cards, maybe isn't. We should tighten up your range. In fact, I don't know if I would even shove, King 10 suited there with that big blind there. The small blind there. Who's going to be calling you every time? So, you might need quite a bit better hand.